Hi! So let's learn how to submit an adverse event to the IRB. And this is going to be a very similar process for submitting a protocol deviation or a non-compliance self-report form or a serious adverse event, unanticipated problem, or miscellaneous request. You will essentially take a lot of the same steps. So once you're logged into TOPAZ, you want to navigate to the Human Protocols module. So we'll click on Human Protocols here. Then you want to hover over the stack of papers with a pen icon and brings up your task list. In this case, we want to select Create Interim Review Protocol. So we will click on that line there. It will then ask which study we wish to submit the interim review form for. So we are going to submit an adverse event in this example for Lady Gaga's tobacco use study. Just as a note, only studies that are in approved status and do not have any other submission pending already for that study will show up here. So, for example, if you don't have full approval for your study yet, or if you have another amendment or renewal or another interim review already created or submitted or under review for that study, you won't be able to select it here to create a new or an additional interim review. So keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and select the study as the one we want to submit the adverse event report form for. And then this step is the one that will be slightly different depending on what you want to submit. So you can see there's an external, so something that happened at another site of the same study, external unanticipated problem report form. There's the local AE form that we will use for this example, but there's also the miscellaneous requests, which is anything that doesn't really fit in any of these categories. There's the non-compliance self-report form, and there's the protocol deviation report form as well. So we will use the local AE form. We can click directly on that line. We can use the checkbox and say OK. Either one works. And what that'll do is it'll bring up the local AE form for you to complete. As you notice on the left-hand side in the outline here, it brings up all 18 of those original sections from the original form, and it's now just added a local adverse event / unanticipated problems section at the very top for you to complete. So we'll go ahead and complete that form here. We'll say this is an initial report, so we have not reported it to the IRB before. We'll select the enrollment site that the adverse event occurred at, and we will, for example, say Shivers Cancer Center. Select the date that the event was discovered by, or the date the event happened, and so we will say July 10th, the date the event was discovered by research personnel. We will say was July 22nd, so just yesterday. And then the date of the IRB notification, if you have not reported it already via email, for example, to the IRB office, then it would be the date you submit. So we'll say today's date. And then you'll go on to describe the event and what has happened, and you want to include information such as age and sex of the patient if that is relevant to the adverse event, but be sure to not use any identifiers at all. We do not want PHI in the system, so don't use any identifiers. And if you need to attach any reports, you can do so here by clicking on the paperclip icon and adding an attachment, for example, a lab report or something, but be sure to redact all identifiable information because we do not want that in the system. So you can attach those there if needed. you would go through and continue answering all of the questions, just like so. If it was a major temporary, major permanent, minor temporary, etc. In your opinion, does the event require any revisions? Who else has it been reported to, etc. And then, of course, just as with every other submission, the PI will log in and sign off on the PI certification. If you are, for example, the research coordinator, you do not want to check agree. You want to leave this blank for the PI to go in and sign. We're going to go ahead and save this submission. And let's pretend we've already gone through and filled out everything we need to fill out and attached any reports that are relevant to the adverse event. We're going to go ahead and pretend we're ready to submit. In this case, the PI should have gone in and signed off on the PI certification. And we are going to go ahead and click the submit button here at the top. We're going to choose submitted, and once you hit set status, it will ask for you to enter your e-signature, which is your username and password, and you'll say OK, and it will be submitted. An email should be sent to the PI author and co-author verifying the submission. And now if we go back to our dashboard, we can see that there are 2 lines in the dashboard for this study. 13102 now has the current approved version, and then that interim review that we've been working on shows up as well. Once the interim review is approved by the IRB, this line here will then go away, and this line will now say approved. That's how you submit an adverse event or any other type of similar submission to the IRB.